What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 5 of the Infinity Flux Letters page. My name is Matt.
I'm Andy.
And this is our live show, a little bit more casual show that we do every other Wednesday, where we just talk to you guys while we're watching and, talk about answer some of your questions, talk about some of the topics you want to talk about new things in comics, which I should say, happy DC All-In Day.
Yep.
It is here. The All-In special is here. The All-In era has started with Batman 153, Poison Ivy 26, Birds of Prey 14, and Shazam number 16.
Wow, you pulled that right off the top
Well,
of your
it's
dome.
only because I had to read them all and do notes, and it's because you left me hanging on the show on Monday, so I had to. No, glad you're back though. Glad you're feeling.
I'm almost there.
You're almost there. Well, so this is gonna be a fun show. Like I said, super casual. As you guys chat with us, we'll chat back with you. It's a little bit more laid back than our other ones. But yes, we have some very cool questions today. And it's very timely too, and very DC centric. And so we'll go ahead and get started with. Let's start with this first.
So we do have some new merch for Infinity Flux, the store that we are currently in. I'm wearing our new Halloween Infinity Flux shirt with the cat.
And this is last year's design too, so we're Halloweened out.
Both of these were designed by Julia, who's working out there right now. The cat does have glow-in-the-dark eyes. Plus, you could also get a tote bag with the design on it. And these are all available on the website, infinityflux.net. And if you buy both of them, you get a free sticker version of the cat. So I just want to show that off. We always try to have new products and stuff representing our store, and thought this one was really cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really neat, and they're comfy. They're comfy too. They're a little bit longer. They feel like they're I don't know. They're warmer, but they're still t-shirts. But they're nice, nice and soft. Hello, Tyler. How are you today? All right. So we want to go ahead and start with some of these questions because they're really, really good. Especially this first one from our friend Don Gleason, who says, and like I said last week, did have to abridge these just a little bit because there's only so many characters that can go in these banners right here. But the question is, what C or even D list hero or villain would you like to see get a push to make them A list? And I think that's very timely, especially for the All-In era right now, because I feel like that's what DC has been doing for the last couple of years, is sort of propping up maybe they're slightly lesser known characters. We've also got Superman in there and Green Lantern and Green Arrow. But I feel like my answer, I get asked this kind of thing a lot about some of my favorite characters that aren't necessarily like big A-listers. And I always go to Firestorm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just chomping at the bit. I feel like now is the right time with all of these new All-In books. I mean, we're getting a new Metamorpho book and a new Challengers of the Unknown book. I feel like now is the time for Firestorm.
Yeah.
Like, give me, we've seen glimpses of him in Absolute Power. We saw glimpses of him in World's Finest, drawn by Dan Mora, which was great. Give me some Firestorm, and I had another one for and for villains, I just want to throw out there, I really like Jack-O-Lantern over at Marvel. I wish he would be a little bit more prominent. I read one of the there's a Venom Infinity comic on the Marvel Unlimited app that he played a part in the first issue of that. I was like, man, I really like Jack-O-Lantern. I mean, he's kind of silly. He's got a big flaming pumpkin head and he just rides on a flying disc. But I think his look is cool. I've got the figure and everything.
Yeah.
So, Jack-O-Lantern and Firestorm for me.
Yeah, it's funny now because, from when I started reading comics till now, a lot of those characters have gotten that push. So we're talking about Booster Gold, which, I mean, when I started reading comics, was definitely like a D-list character. But now he's been in so many events and got his own series and stuff that he's not A tier currently, but, I would say that he's a C plus character. But always happy for more Booster Gold. I would say, I don't know, there's so many like side characters that I really like that I don't know if could ever work as A tier characters, but like during Blackest Night and Brightest Day and the rebirth of Justice League and stuff, when they brought Mara in as a really big character, and she was a member of the Justice League, and I love that.
She's been really lifted up. Like, I mean, we don't have an Aquaman book right now, but over the last few years, when there's been Aquaman, we've gotten a lot of Mara too, which I think is really cool.
She's a great character for that. Deadman is another character I love, and anytime he's brought up, any of the Justice League Dark characters, I love that.
Well, in Deadman, we had Night Terrors last late summer, and that was all centered around him and Sandman, which is really cool. So
yeah. But for Marvel, I will always say Beta Ray Bill needs just a. I mean, his Daniel Warren Johnson series was one of the best books of the year, and he just deserves to have to be in the spotlight all the time.
Yeah, that was sort of my big introduction into Daniel Warren Johnson. I mean, I think I'd seen some of his stuff before, but that series is what really made me sit up and take notice. Like, wait, this looks different than everything else that we're getting.
Yeah, he's my favorite Marvel character, and so I would just love to see more of him. However it is, give him his own book or make him a side player in something. I don't care.
Yeah,
just more.
Yeah, just more of everybody. I mean, I love having Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and all those guys, but there's so many across both big two. I mean, there's so many great characters that we just don't see that often.
I feel like everybody who reads comics on a regular basis has. They all have their character like, oh, I love Batman or I love Superman. But if you just, dig a little bit deeper, their next favorite characters are always going to be lower tier characters because it's something about this one character they got attached to, and it's not oversaturated with them. That's why, for one, I love Aquaman. I love Stephanie Brown when she was Robin, and then Batgirl and Spoiler, Beta Ray Bill. It's always these characters just a little off to the side.
Yeah.
And that I feel like there's so much potential there.
Yeah, for sure. So great question there. There's one that I want to, we have a question up on TikTok up there that just asks us about our thoughts on Agatha all along on Disney Plus right now, because today is Agatha Day. Yeah. And, so I'm going to say, I love it.
Yeah.
I was excited to, especially after the first 2 episodes dropped 2 weeks ago, I was like, wow, I really like this. And last Wednesday, I got really, really excited about, to watch Agatha. It's new comic book day. But then later on that night, I get to watch Agatha, and I feel the same way today. So it's I love it because it's just so, it's fun. It's a little bit different. It's still interesting. There's a lot of mystery. Horror, everything about it.
Yeah, it's quickly one of my favorite ones, one of my favorite of the Marvel shows, just because one, it is different, it's refreshing, it's not super weighed down with continuity.
Right.
It can exist, it can have its own sense of humor, all of that. And I think that's when they work the best, when it's they're just butting right up against the rest of the Marvel universe, but it's not, oh, well, I had to watch this or I had to watch this. It can exist by itself or as part of a whole.
Yeah.
And it both works.
Yeah, because if they never do anything else with Agatha, I will still love this series. But I also love that this could maybe open the door for Ghost Rider and Blade and the Midnight Suns. You could get some Doctor Strange in there. It could go that way, or it might not. Either way, I'm totally cool.
Still works.
It still works. Yeah, I love Agatha. So yeah, very cool. How about the Penguin? I have not watched it yet.
I've watched the first episode of Penguin, and it is, very different than Agatha. I would say, Agatha is a very popcorn. Let's sit down the whole family and have fun. Right. Penguin, on the other hand, is an HBO show in every way.
Yeah.
And it's heavy, but it also has a really good sense of humor. They make Penguin really, he's a villain, but also just endearing and kind of heartwarming. He has some moments where he shows some humanity.
Yeah.
And I think it's works so well. Like how Matt Reeves' Batman works. It works that same way. And I can't wait to watch the second episode, but at least for the first episode, I thought it was fantastic and probably one of the best first episodes of a show like this that I've seen. It's pretty self-contained too. The first episode. Yeah.
I mean, it looks, I kind of feel like it's what Gotham, the show Gotham was supposed to be before it started getting all super fantastical with all this stuff. Going back to our question about C and D-list characters, the Watcher says that one of their favorites is The Question. DC should do more, and we are getting a new question miniseries that Mark talked about here. Renee Montoya asks questions. There's a new 6-issue miniseries. I don't remember who the writer is.
No, but it is kind of following up on the question's current status as like the security for the new Watchtower.
That's right. So like she has a role. I mean, I really do feel like this is the comic version of Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah.
And I know that that's what they're going for with the title and everything, but like, holy cow, like they nailed it. You know, oh, we've got the satellite. Everybody's up there. And the question was always there, just sort of lingering in the background.
Kind of like a little bit of an annoying, like just asking people questions just off the cuff. But I love Vic Sage as the question. You just have to read 52 to get some great Vic Sage. But I also love Renee Montoya and how she took up the mantle.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for more forward to all of that.
Yeah. So, and I think it's Cian Tormey doing the art, but I do not remember who the writer is on that. But what we've seen of it, I think it looks great. So yeah, we're getting questioned. We're getting challengers.
She kind of has a new look. The mask is less like flesh colored. It looks more like white.
Oh, okay.
And she had something like a sword or something weird when she was walking through. Like the
it did seem like there was something.
Something on her back. Yeah. I'm not sure what it was, but it's very cool looking.
Yeah. This is great, guys. So thanks for hanging out with us. We got some other questions and chime in as we are going through these. There was another one that, so Mark asks, who's your top 3 favorite portrayals of Batman and Superman, voice actors included? And I'm glad that Mark threw that in there because I always have to ask, well, does that include,
Because then the answer for Batman becomes clear.
Yeah. Kevin Conroy.
Conroy is the number 1 Batman.
Yeah, and I think top 3 though. I mean, definitely Kevin Conroy. I grew up watching reruns of the '66 Batman show. Obviously, I grew up. I was a kid right when Batman '89 hit. I remember that whole summer like it was yesterday. The Batmania, the Bat symbol was on everything. Going to the overpacked theater where people were sitting in the aisles. Probably a fire hazard, or we didn't care about that stuff in the 80s. Like, so, I'm thinking, Adam West and Michael Keaton, but I really like Ben Affleck's Batman. I really do. And actually, I'd probably say that maybe Christian Bale is my least favorite. If I could go, I don't know.
Because I would say Kevin Conroy is top in whatever form, whether it's animated series, Arkham, whatever. And then I would say probably Michael Keaton, just because that was so watched and rewatched.
Yeah.
And I do really like Robert Pattinson as Batman. Yeah. I thought he was great. I'm not a huge Christian Bale Batman fan.
Yeah, me neither. But I love the movies. But it's just like I wish there was a different Batman in it,
And to do Batman, there needs to be a balance between Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Right.
And some play one better than the other. And I think the best ones play a kind of an equal of those.
Because that's something that struck me about Matt Reeves' Batman is this is the first Batman movie we've ever had where it's mostly Batman that we see. We don't see very much of Bruce Wayne at all. Usually it's the opposite. But I don't definitely Kevin Conroy number 1. And then I don't know how I would order Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, and Robert Pattinson. I don't know what order, but that's my top 4. If we could do that. But Superman, Christopher Reeve.
Number 1. Just for basically like being the like embodiment of everything about Superman.
Yeah.
He wasn't the biggest. He wasn't he wasn't like the he looks just like out of the comics. Like his persona really brought Superman. And then I think Henry Cavill was just like physically looked like almost the perfect Superman.
Yeah, as much as I'm excited for the James Gunn stuff, I am sad that we're not getting more Cavill because I loved him as Superman, and I don't feel like he got the chance to be actual Superman. Like he was a little bit more grim Superman. I wanted to see him as the bright, hopeful one. But so definitely like Christopher Reeve for sure, and then Cavill, and then Tyler Hoechlin on Superman and Lois. I love that show so much, and I don't know which one of them. They're like neck and neck for me as being Superman.
Yeah, I always love you've got the animated Superman,
Tim Daly. Yeah, he was great as the voice. Yeah.
And then I don't know. I watched a lot of Tom Welling.
Well, yes, Smallville is one of my top 2 favorite shows of all time.
Yeah,
but I didn't put Tom Welling in there because he was never really Superman.
Yeah,
he was like.
I feel like that was Superman. More a legal reason. He wasn't Superman. Like if he could have been at that time, he would have been a really good Superman.
I don't know. I think he's has talked about it before and said, no, I didn't want to wear the tights because it's not a Superman show. I never wanted to become Superman because that's not what it is. And I think even the Alfred Goh and Miles Miller said the minute he puts on the costume, it's not Smallville anymore. Okay. It's Superman, and that's not what we want. But I love Tom Welling. I watched I watched the Talkville podcast, which is him and Rosenbaum rewatching, and so it's really fun. So I love Welling, but he was never Superman for me. So I'd have to go those three guys.
And I've watched some George Reeves. Yeah, it's fine.
I used to watch it on Nick at Night.
I have no like connection with it, but I do like it. But yeah, Christopher Reeves has that for me on lock.
Yeah, for sure. And then 2 favorite Batman and Superman villains that aren't Joker or Lex. I love Ra's al Ghul. And then Superman, Brain. Well, so you didn't say Brainiac, so I'm gonna say Brainiac. I love Brainiac. For a Superman villain or Darkseid, but Darkseid could be anybody's villain really. But yeah, Ra's al Ghul definitely for Batman, and I really like Brainiac a lot.
I love Batman's hard because there's so many. Clayface, I love Clayface when he's just the giant ball of mud, like that version of Clayface. And I'm trying to think who else. I like some of the characters some of the times more than others. Sometimes I really like Scarecrow. Yeah, I think Scarecrow's a really cool character. But for Superman, I love Doomsday.
And we're about to get him again. Yeah. That's so cool.
Just he represents kind of the exact opposite of Superman. It is, the muscle without any of the humanity.
Yeah.
I love Doomsday, and that's it would take me a long time to think because I really like Superman villains, whether it be
Metallo's great,
Metallo's great.
Bizarro's always fun, Bizarro's fun, but frustrating because I always have to try to figure out what is he saying, when the backwards speak. I'm like, wait, so I have to examine each word. So the opposite is good is bad. He's saying goodbye, so really he's saying hello. It's a puzzle.
Like sometimes they do the opposite of every word. Sometimes it's just some of the words. But also for Superman and Batman, pretty much any of the DC Universe villains are their enemies at any given time.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Let me. Which villains do you think Matt Reeves would adapt, or maybe would be good for a Batman sequel? The Batman sequel. I want Court of Owls.
I do think Court of
Owls.
Or
Hush, I guess.
Hush is a great.
Yeah.
Hush is a funny character to talk about because it's I don't know. It's one singular moment of Hush,
right?
That's Hush,
right?
But I think Court of Owls feels like a home run. I know they've talked about Clayface, but being the more classic Clayface, he can rearrange his face, like the original actor version. But no, I think you're right. I think Court of Owls is so cinematic.
Yeah.
In that mystery of look at something Batman doesn't know. Oh, also Killer Croc.
Yeah.
That goes back to my favorite Batman villains, but also ones I'd like to see. But I want Jim Lee Killer Croc from Hush, where he's just a giant monster.
That's what I was thinking too. I love when Batman faces off against villains that are physically more powerful than he is, and he has to try to figure out how to beat them. And Killer Croc falls into that. But then I think, well, we had him in a couple of different movies, and or it was only just one movie, right?
It was just only one movie, but a version of him that's really monstrous. Is I love the idea of Batman's really practical, and you throw crazy villains against him that are dumb, and he just is these guys are idiots.
Yeah,
the Joker's dumb. I don't like to laugh, and he's always trying to make jokes. Clayface, what is this giant pile of mud?
Yeah,
Killer Croc, it's a giant reptile guy. For Batman, that's all ridiculous, and like clearly these guys are insane.
They sound like they should be Spider-Man villains.
Yeah, and that it's the reverse. Instead of the really colorful hero and dark villains, it's the dark hero and really colorful villains. I think that's the contrast that makes Batman work. For
sure. Yeah, and the Watch says I think it's too soon for Court of Owls. They should build up. They should build up to Court of Owls. Should be like his end game, which I can see that for sure. Yeah. Mr. Freeze or Hush. I could see Mr. Freeze too if it was done maybe a little bit more ground level. Maybe. I guess
I would still like to see like a Gotham covered in snow.
Yeah.
With Batman trudging through it.
Yeah, but he does have to say, "All right, everyone, chill, just one time, just for the fun of it."
And I love Poison Ivy too.
Yeah. Oh, you could really work her into that more grounded.
Yeah, because she's all science.
She could be like an eco-terrorist or something. I wanted to talk to show this one. Jordan Smith, what's up? How are you doing? Just grabbed my stack of books for the week. Got the Heroes Reborn trade to learn more about Hyperion. His connection to Avengers 18 piqued my interest.
That's a really good event. It's one of my favorite recent Marvel events. And it's mostly because each issue is almost standalone about each of the characters.
Right.
And it made me like all of those characters and understand them a lot more.
The only thing is, like, we've seen so many different versions of Hyperion. Like, he's a super good guy, or he's a little bit shady, or he's a straight up bad guy like he was in this Avengers. And
I never quite know what is, like, they don't really transition between those well.
Yeah, it's just like
he was a member of the Avengers during Hickman's for a long time.
Right.
And it's like, is that the same guy?
Is that the same one? And it's funny because in that issue of Avengers that you're talking about, or it may have been the next one, but they when they talk about Hyperion hurtling towards Earth, I think Carol Danvers says something like, which version is it or something. Yeah. They do kind of call that out a little bit. So yeah, very cool though. Heroes Reborn was really cool. And then Hyperion showing up in these couple issues of Avengers was really neat too. All right, so we got another one here. We're talking about movies a lot. Mark wants to know, what's a couple of your favorite comic book movies that aren't from Marvel or DC? And did you see the trailer for Thunderbolts? Yeah, so the second one first. Yeah, Thunderbolts, yes.
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
A lot of questions about everything.
Things?
Even like what the story is, we don't really know.
How you doing, Card Imperial Comics? Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I love more spy espionage type stuff, like Winter Soldier. It looks like we're getting at with Captain America, Brave New World, and it feels like we're getting some more of that with Thunderbolts. And that's the kind of, I love cosmic stuff and big monsters and all that kind of stuff, but I also love my spies, hand-to-hand combat, espionage, that kind of thing. Plus, U.S. agents, more U.S. agent, more Yelena, more Red Guardian.
Yeah, Bucky has back his gun that flips cars, which is always good to see. I'm really excited about Sentry. I feel like, they're holding back a lot.
Oh, there. For sure.
I'm really wondering, are they going to do the same gimmick that Marvel did, saying he's been there the whole time?
Oh, right.
Because that was kind of his.
How does it? Was it in the comics they made everybody forget?
Yeah.
It was like
how crazy would it be if they went back and showed the Avengers scene where it's spinning around, but Sentry
was in there? That would be fun.
Like, do stuff like that, I think, could be a really interesting idea that would kind of mirror what the comics did with Bob.
Yeah, they definitely didn't. He's definitely in it for sure, because there's that scene where they're firing all their guns and all the casings are hitting the floor. I feel like they're shooting at him. I do not want to see him before the movie, though. Like,
that's
no trailers, no nothing.
Sorry, Marvel Legends will be released first.
Yeah, you're probably right. Like, it'll be
a figure,
a Funko Pop is what it'll be.
Exactly.
A Funko Pop or a Lego set will be our first view.
And not only do you have Sentry, but you have Void, his other side.
And I don't know. I wonder if they're going to play into that at all.
I don't know, but that's when you start getting deep into the character.
Yeah. Favorite comic book movies that aren't from Marvel or DC. I didn't think about this one. My first thought was Watchmen. I love the Watchmen movie, but I was like, that's DC. No. There's so many like Road to Perdition, and
there's a lot that people don't even realize are based off of comics,
like Men in Black. And
there's stuff like 300, Sin City.
The first Sin City, yeah, and 300. The first 300.
Mask,
yeah,
is a good movie, and that's based off of the great comic. Hellboy.
True.
Yeah, there's
even though the two we've talked about this a lot. Like the first two Hellboys aren't super comics accurate, but they were still good movies. Like they're fun. They're still entertaining.
Yeah. It would take me a little bit to think about that one, but there's a lot. I do really like 300 though.
Yeah, and Sin City up there too. Yeah, I'd say those two, 300 and Sin City, just because like of the Sin City just looked different.
Yeah,
and 300 was just so epic and cinematic. 30 Days a Night, that's another one. Yeah. My son loved that one. We both watched that for the first time just a few months ago, and he was into it. V for Vendetta, but that's a DC, so we can't count that out. Yeah, 300 in Sin City probably for me. Oh, Dredd! Holy cow! Yeah! Oh my gosh!
Probably Dredd, because that's just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, that new Dredd. Holy cow! That was. I think I just rewatched that for a few months ago. I hadn't seen it since it first came out, and holy cow! Yeah. So that we'll say those three then. Dredd. Thank you guys for helping me figure out my list. Dredd, 300, Sin City, and then 30 Days a Night for sure. That's probably like number 4. Because that one's so good. Jordan says, wait a minute. Wait, shoot, I missed it. Jordan, here we go. About halfway through Venom War, thoughts on the event? I think it's actually pretty good. I don't necessarily love all the tie-ins, but I finally got caught up with all of the Venom stuff from issue 1 of Donny Cates' Venom, all the way through Absolute Carnage, all the way through King in Black, all the way through the end of Donny Cates' run, and then all the way through the current run of Venom. So now I am all caught up with the Venom War, and I like the main story and the Spider-Man one tie in really, really well. But some of them, the rest of them, it's like I don't really care what Wolverine's doing. I don't need his tie-in. I don't, the Daredevil one shot was fine, I guess, but so decent. I think the artwork though. Ivan Coelho, like holy cow! Like I love to just look at it.
I haven't read any of it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like it. Was Red a comic? Yes.
Yeah,
Red was. Oh yeah, Mark's got Dread, The Rocketeer. Oh my gosh, I've watched that so many times as a kid. And Ninja Turtles. How do we forget 1990 Ninja Turtles?
It's so the Ninja Turtles cartoon and movie came out so close to when the comic actually came out that they were almost simultaneously created at the same time. At least, I know you've got the comic. The comic only, Eastman and Laird were off of Ninja Turtles within the first handful of issues. They already left because they were working on the show. So that one is that is based off of a comic, but it's also the movie's kind of based off the show because they did have the different colors,
right? And
then and the Rocketeer is a really funny one because people don't realize that it's not like a 1940s or 50s comic. It's pretty modern.
They did a good job making it feel that way, though. Golly, I love The Rocketeer. Both of those, Mark. I watched both of those when I was a kid. I wore out my VHS copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Holy cow. Very cool. Watcher, Kick-Ass Incredibles and The Crow. I just rewatched the original Crow a few nights ago, and it's so good.
Incredibles, not based off a comic.
Right.
Just based off of comics.
Sure. Yeah. Any comics, new series y'all looking forward to during the holiday season? You mean holiday comics or just like comics in general? I'm just excited for, November. We're getting Justice League Unlimited. That's getting into Christmas season and
Justice Society.
I think the Challenges of the Unknown book sounds fun. The Question miniseries we were talking about, Metamorpho.
Yeah.
But DC. Anything DC's going to give us.
Marvel hasn't really announced any big new number ones that are this is going to be for a while. We're going to have this series.
Well, we're getting the new Venom series.
Yeah.
With somebody else's Venom, I guess. So I'm interested in that.
Yeah, I love the art on that. So I'll probably be checking that out. I'm interested in the new Spider-Man story arc, the 8 Deaths of Spider-Man. I think that sounds cool. Anything with Doom coming up, I'm really interested. But mostly for Marvel, the stuff that I'm currently reading, I want to continue, like Fantastic Four and that kind of stuff. It's like, I don't know, this has been good the whole time, and I just want to continue it.
G.I. Joe.
Yep.
From Skybound. Definitely excited for that one. And the sort of what's it called? That Ultimates, that one in the 1 year later, that one shot is kind of like our midway point. I'm excited for that because like I really feel like they're building towards this big showdown with the Maker and everybody that's stuck in that dome. But they're doing it in real time, which I think is really, really clever.
Yeah, all the Ultimate stuff. Yeah. I like them all to varying degrees, but I'm interested in all of them
and
world,
where they're going. Where's it going?
Yeah. I can't wait to see like them bring She-Hulk back.
Yes.
In the Ultimates universe, and like them all be that team, and the new Hawkeye is coming in there. I think all that's really cool.
I think the next Ultimates comes out next week with the new. That's the one with the new Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So we'll have that one on to talk about on Monday for sure. And Tom King's Black Canary. Yeah. So anything DC's putting out, I want to read it. And then Marvel's got a couple things. Yeah, G.I. Joe over at Image. I can't really think of like some more like indie stuff.
Indie stuff is like when it comes out, we read it and like, whoa, that was really good. But you don't really know until you
that
check
far
it
ahead.
out.
Yeah, they usually don't like make these big announcements like some other stuff.
Well, all the Ghost Machine stuff too. I'm enjoying, and with Hyde Street just starting, I can't wait for more of that.
Hyde Street for sure. Yeah. Does Big Hero 6 count as a comic book? Yeah, you're right.
But it is Marvel.
Right.
So
true.
It wouldn't fall under the
not
categories
Marvel
of the
DC.
question, but it is. But even though it is vastly different than the comic.
Yeah. And yes, Watcher, Rook Exodus has been one of the best this year. I agree. I love it. I love the artwork. I love
I was gonna say some of the best comic art ever.
I think right behind Dan Mora, Jason Fabok is my favorite current artist, and then like Jorge Jimenez right behind him. I mean, we're getting some great stuff. And then Ivan Rice, he was killing on Hyde Street, which we talked about on Hyde Street a while back. I love that usually with a lot of like horror books, anthology or whatever, the art is a little bit scratchier, maybe a little bit more cartoony. But like with Hyde Street, we're getting a horror book that has these really nice, clean lines, super detailed. Like we don't really get horror books that look like this.
Yeah, and that are a continuing series with characters and everything, which is new and refreshing.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Well, we're at about 33 minutes, and so we are going to probably call it here. The store is going to close up in about 10 minutes or so, but this was super fun, just kind of hanging out and talking, answering questions, and this is what we were hoping. We'll start off with some questions, and then as you guys come in, we'll just talk about whatever. Don't know if you guys prefer a little bit more structure or a little bit just more like. I just kind of think about this as like, hey, we're just a bunch of people hanging out in the comic store on New Comic Book Day, talking about whatever pops up. That's kind of what the goal is. But so we're going to call it here. Guys, thank you so very much for hanging out with us during this show. Our next one of these will be 2 weeks from now on October 16th. So that'll be right between the release of Absolute Batman #1, which is next week, and a week before the release of Absolute Wonder Woman, which we both have read both of those already. They are so good. Cannot wait for you guys to get your hands and your eyeballs on both of them. They are great. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate the camaraderie. Thanks for hanging out. Yep. And Card Imperial, thank you guys. Be sure to come back on Friday. We will have our next episode of Comics from the Future, where we're going to talk about a whole bunch of the comics that are on FOC this coming weekend. Next Monday is our early comic preview show. Absolute Batman's going to be there. I think that issue of Ultimates.
It sounds like he's coming through the door.
He's going to be right
Absolute
here,
Batman.
And he really is that big.
Yeah,
he's like a big
to
square.
Cut a hole and make the door bigger.
He walks sideways through the door. I'll be right there, guys. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'm going to try to end this like smoothly. I think I have to click twice.
Yep.
And appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in a few days.